So, welcome to this broadcast of Samadhi Game on Mother's Day. It's a particularly poignant Mother's Day. We're sharing lots of love for mothers, and the mother of our children here, this lovely lady, the best mother in the world. I can't tell you how much I love you and honor you for the things that you do for our family, for our love, for our home, for my health, over and over again. This lovely lady makes everything shine and sparkle all around us. Our animals, our gardens, our flowers, our food, our entertainment, keeping me on track with my clients, making tea. Our clients benefit from her smile and her love. Always a lovely, lovely mother image for us all. This morning I felt inspired to do a little bit of mothering myself. So I got out of bed silently this morning when the dog wanted to go outside, and which normally Robbie's doing every morning. And took the dog for a walk in the silent morning, and then made a fire for you, because it's actually cold here in Tijeras this morning. It's about 45 degrees outside so far.
But it's bright sunshine.
It's a bright sunshine is falling upon us all. And beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. And I think it'll warm up nicely. But the love that you share with me and you train me, and she trains me, she teaches me what real, true, enduring, forgiving, beyond error love is. And that's the love of the mother, the beautiful, divine mother of us all. And in commiserating with you this morning about mothers and love and looking deeply into your eyes, I also felt that I was looking deeply into the eyes of my mother. And so this morning our broadcast is all about mothers. It's all about how we honor our mothers and remember our mothers, whether they're with us or they're gone. And so one of the reasons I wore this T-shirt today is because I wanted to remember my mom a little bit. You say, why would you remember your mom by wearing a T-shirt of Anne Margaret, a sexy dame? Well, my mom was a pretty sexy dame, and she flaunted it pretty strongly. She loved it. She loved the fact that she was, racy and and it's funny because with all of her, raciness, she was the most traditional, really, of moms. Devoted, caring. It was an interesting paradox of raciness and sexiness and willingness to flaunt her attractiveness.
Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. And at the same time, she was wholeheartedly our mom. And I just wanted to remember her today, and we're going to give Samadhi Game mantras as well. I produced a book. I was inspired many years ago now to write a book about enlightenment, and I called it Samadhi Game. And in it, there's all sorts of mantras in English that help to bring our consciousness into an awareness. Bring our consciousness into an awareness of that part of ourselves which is beyond error, beyond angers and frustrations, beyond even human loves. It's beyond. And it's has to do with reminding ourselves of that level of existence. That's what Samadhi Game is. And I also wrote to her a book. I wrote all these mantras into a book which I would read to her in the days of her convalescing in the hospitals, in the last days, whenever she was on what we thought for 10 years was her last breaths. I would go to this book, and let me just show you the book that I made for her. It's these book. This is the book. It's called Samadhi Smile, Mom. And there's a few things we're going to share with you today about Mom and about our family. And in this book, you'll see there are different pictures of Mom, and with those pictures of Mom, there would be mantras that I had written and posted in this book. So you can see these are mantras that Mom was familiar with, and she had this particular book. This one was on her her coffee table the last, I'd say, 4 years of her life, and she wrote in it, "Marge loves Donald Brinkley and really loves Greg Brinkley." Too. So Mom was wont to write her affirmations in everything, her affirmations of love for me, for Christy, for us all. We were all held within the embrace of her love. She did so much to hold our family in that loving embrace. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing, Mom. And so years ago, I wrote this to her, and then we'll go on and do a few mantras from Samadhi Game. So this is a letter that I wrote to Mom some time ago. I don't think I put a date on it. I'm not sure what the date is. I sent it to Mom in the mail, and then she framed it. And this is the frame she put it in. She had it sealed nicely in Kona, at the Kona Frame Shop, Kona Village. They lived in Hawaii. They had a beautiful home right on the beach, and out in the front of their home was a beautiful point break. It was a gorgeous place where the waves broke it was a beautiful rite. And I kept my surfboards there, and every time I would visit them in Hawaii, I would surf, and Mom would stand on that balcony and watch me surf, and she'd hoot and holler. It was that close, actually. It was really close. You could hear her, from shouting, even though the waves were crashing. She'd be shouting across the bay as I took that right, and it was quite a long, beautiful ride. And when the waves weren't breaking there was a beautiful, beautiful bay with beautiful reefs through it, and some really nice deep dives down about 30 feet down, with beautiful caves and fish. And I'd come up, and whenever I'd come up, Mom would be standing there on the balcony, even though I had proven myself to her thousands and thousands of times to be very capable in the ocean of swimming. She'd be sitting there like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, moms never lose that. Oh, it breaks my heart. It's true. You never lose it.
She was such a loving being, and she'd be standing there in her bathing suit with her cap on, looking out over the harbor, and where I was surfing. I'd be the only one out there. I mean, it was a private beach, really, and very few people ever surfed there. I think maybe only once in the 14 years that they lived in that place on King Kamehameha Drive. I think I only saw one other person out there surfing with me. Dear Mom, I just wanted you to know that I've been thinking of you a lot. I love you a lot. I was at a Cub Scout potluck yesterday with Ian, and that's my son, and I was thinking about how much I loved Ian. I was feeling the angst of soul at the difficult situation with Brenda. That was Ian's mom. And I have put him in, and Brenda and I have put him in. I was feeling the struggle, and that was in reference to, difficult marriage that we were having. I was feeling the struggle of his soul to understand his own identity. I was feeling what I thought would be the same feelings, the same sorrow that you had for Christy and I as we were growing up, for whatever confusion that we may have been experiencing or whatever reason. She was always there to counsel us in our difficult times. I could feel in me your determination to make your life better for the sake of us. I could feel in me your fierce determination to see the best in the most trying situations with Christy and I. I could see in my mind's eye and feel in my face as well your radiant smile, filled with love and hope, and knew that behind it you struggled to maintain your own composure in the face of life's difficulties. But you were determined to show us your best in spite of them. I could feel in me your sensitivities to the wonder of all life, your emphatic exclamation of happiness for all the world to see. She never held it back. She never held back her love. She never tried to put it under the guise of political correctness and thinking that all of her joy was too much information for anyone or for all of us to see. Though most will never understand the innocence and reality of your vision, she knew that her joy was way over the top. Her inspiration was way over the top. Her expression of the abundant life that she was determined to live was way over the top. And she knew that there were going to be people that would be not want even to see it. And there was others that would be very jealous. All of this rolled around inside my mind as children ran and played around my feet at Ian's Cub Scout meeting. Then I dreamed of you last night. I woke up and knew I must write this to you so you would know just how important you are to me always. I love you, Mom. Greg. It's beautiful. It just is so beautiful. And I want to go to our Samadhi game. Just before we go to the Samadhi game, I wanted to go to a few pictures of Mom. And see Mom as she glows. This picture was actually at 20 Carats Natural Foods, the store that I opened here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a natural food store, which became more and more of a natural foods restaurant over the 11 years, almost the 12 years that we had it. This is Mom as she there. This is Mom as she was. This is I think. I can't remember exactly. Well, it's Mom. She's beautiful. Her glow. Where it was.
Looked like Mitsuluna in Aspen.
Maybe. It might have been. That's Mom with Mom. In the middle there.
Oh. With her mom?
Yeah.
Sisters?
And sisters. She's like, there's Mom. Oh my. This was Mom in Cabo San Lucas. And that's the trip that we took that was almost fatal for us all. You can see behind us that boat out in let me see if I can point to it, if I can get to it. It's the boat right back there above. And that boat is the yacht that we spent some time on for about 2 weeks. And we took a trip up to La Paz at the end of towards the end of those 2 weeks, and on that trip we hit a hurricane, and it was quite an eventful. It was like you would see in the movies, actually. where the boat is being tossed by the waves, the 40 and 50 foot waves that crashed over the bow and then turning the boat on its side and almost capsizing the boat. It was quite an amazing trip. But I love you, Mom. Life's a beach. And this is my mom in the White House. She actually is standing where the presidents stand. She was there visiting with President Clinton, as was Christy and my dad, and it was a beautiful, beautiful time. And she was so proud of being there. It's just her whole, she bought she bought all of the beautiful White House memorabilia, the towels, which we still have to this day.
Christmas ornaments.
Christmas ornaments, and we hang it on the tree, and
coffee mugs.
It's just beautiful. She really, if we could all love like my mom loved, if we could all radiate that joy like my mom radiated, we would all live in a different world. That forgiveness, that mother's forgiveness that always reached out to her family and said, I don't care what you've done wrong, I love you still. And while you're over there, you might want to throw another log on that fire. Thanks. Anyway, it's beautiful to see her there, standing at the podium where our presidents stand and put their hands, and beautiful. And they give their correspondence. Here's another one of Mom and Dad. And the artist who did this mural for my 20 Carats Natural Foods, I didn't really give him any direction. He actually, decided to draw this picture of Albuquerque. That's the Albuquerque Bridge, and going over the Rio Grande, and it shows the boats on the Rio Grande behind Mom, and then he shows the sax player and a lovely lady walking down the pier, down the bridge there, and he told me that was supposed to be Billy Joel and Christy.
With red hair.
Yeah. Well, he took artist's license.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Sandia Mountains behind us. Mom, thank you for visiting us here in Albuquerque, and thank you for helping so much with even the name of 20 Carats. What should we name the store? I talked to her on the phone one evening. She said 20 Carats. Oh. So, Mom, I love you. Boy, how many years ago was that? This is in Christie's kitchen in Tower Hill. Many beautiful memories there with Mom and Dad and Christy and Jack and Sailor and Alexa and Ian and Elliot. Just really lovely times there on Christie's beautiful property and beautiful hospitality that she gave to us all. And those days, it was beautiful. Mom and me.
Cut out.
Look at that little roly-poly guy I was.
Well, for diet and exercise.
But Mom fed us well. And there she is again on the beach. That's one of our first homes there in Malibu. It was called the Sherry Seacoff Building, and it was a beautiful place. There were, in those days, they sailed outriggers on the beach. You could take them through the surf, and you could even catch waves with them. And later, we were to have a beautiful 16-foot Prindle catamaran. Actually, it was mine, and I sailed it out through it would have been sitting on the beach right there. It was lovely. We had a good time. And remember those grass mats that
Yes.
you'd buy in Mexico, and
Yeah, or the
instead of
local pharmacies.
Local pharmacies, yeah. We had the Malibu Pharmacy just down the street from us, at the end of Malibu Road, right there at the opening of the Colony. So it was not too far. My paper route was the Colony, the Malibu Colony. That's where I tossed my newspapers, the Evening Outlook, to all the stars. Not too long before she passed, Mom, still radiant, still
Putting her
loving,
lipstick on.
still putting her lipstick on, and we have those. We use these
Yes.
blankets to these days.
Yes, I can't go to sleep without it. It's my it's my snuggle one.
Yeah, we love them.
It's my security blanket beside you.
Mom and Dad, if there ever was two people that loved each other as much as we love each other, it was Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad, Mom loved Dad more than anything in the world. And then came Christy and I, and loved us like stars and the moon and the sun. And it was just a lovely, lovely time that we always had together. This was, I think it's a restaurant there in Beverly Hills. They moved to Beverly Hills. I would imagine about 12 years before about 10 or 11 years before they passed. Lovely times. Mom, after one of her operations and their Beverly Hills home, their Oakhurst Drive home, with a beautiful spiral staircase to the second floor, beautiful apartment, penthouse apartment. They were there. And Mom, after one of her brain surgeries, she had to have major surgery after she fell and cracked open her skull, and she just continues to move forward in love. After every episode of failing health, she just kept moving forward with lots of love. Dad loving her. That might have been years after her first fall, where she had the brain surgeries. You can see her hair grew back beautifully. Dad, with his patch, he's probably had some cancerous, squamous cancer on his skin removed there, and in their living room there in Oakhurst. Again, that's that restaurant in Beverly Hills. I can't remember the name of it. One of the surgeries that the day before she was supposed to go in for heart surgery, we were at this restaurant. It was one of the Mexican restaurants there on Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, and a really lovely restaurant. And we were all praying for her, and she was quite strong. And the next morning we had to take her to the hospital and admit her for what was supposed to be open heart surgery to repair her valves. And as she was in the hospital the night before, I think we took her to the hospital that next morning, and then the next day she spent the day in the hospital in preparation, and the next day we had to go to the hospital. And as we drove to the hospital to drive into the parking lot, there was a truck that we were all anxious. We wanted to get there as fast as possible, and a truck stopped right in front of the entryway to the parking lot at the Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and we had to stop and wait, and we were kind of getting impatient with it. But when we looked up on the side of the panels of the truck, it said Milagro Flowers, and Milagro means miracle. And when we got in, so but we were kind of anxious to get there, so we weren't thinking too much about it. We went in, and by the time we got in, they had put Mom under, and they had done the angiogram. And when they did the angiogram, they found that whatever that they had found in the angiogram that they had taken from her a month and a half or 2 months before, that said they had to take her in immediately and get her to surgery, they did another angiogram, and they said whatever had happened, in the meantime, we'd had all sorts of prayers going on for her. In the meantime, there was a healing that had taken place. Her heart didn't need it. So from that moment forward, we said, that truck stopped us, that Milagro Flowers. And we decided we would call Mom Milagro Mom. And so many people on the internet, so many people, I mean thousands from all across the United States. We didn't have broadcast at the time. We didn't have, we had Facebook, and we had emails, and we had email lists. And I had an email list for my businesses that I had going on. Brinkley's Best was the name of my business in those days. Now it's Brinkley's Beautiful. And we'd had those email lists for all of our clients and customers, and I mailed them out, and requests for prayers. And Christy had an email list as well, and Christy mailed them out, and we received so many responses in the emails for Mom's health, good wishes, and prayers of good intention. We really feel as though the thousands of people, maybe even tens of thousands as it was broadcast from person to person across the world,
yes,
emails coming in, it may very well have changed the dimensions of her health and brought healing to her. So that's an understanding of that. No, one of her little dogs. That's actually in Christie's, what she used to have a beach house in Southampton, and that's my daughter Elliot and Mom, and look at how much they look like each other. They're almost the same size even, and they loved each other dearly and profoundly. And Christy again, and during the summertime, the family would come out and we'd stay in her beautiful guest house, right next to her house, and we were the lucky ones because we had the pool right outside our door, and they had to walk from the main house from Tower Hill. They had to walk 15 yards to get to the pool. We had to just walk out the door and dive in. And then they had their beautiful beach house right on Southampton Beach, and this was in the living room of that there, and Mom was so enjoying, we always enjoyed the beach together, the love of the beach. And then during the last days of Mom, one of the most pleasant things that she expressed to me over and over again was how happy she was to see Christy and I spending time on the beach when we weren't with her in the hospital or when we weren't with her at her home. And she loved to see my hair whitened by the sun and my skin covered with salt water. And when I'd come in the door and say, "We just got back from the beach, how are you?" Or I'd even walk into the hospital like that. She always was like, just so pleased that we were spending time together as a family, and that we were all playing on the beach and picnicking on the beach and surfing with Jack and being silly with Sailor and Elliot, and laughing, and it was a lovely time. Again, that same restaurant before she went in. Lots of love. Mom would cut out pictures and fasten them to things, and these treasure boxes would show up all over the place with pictures of us on it. And this is again from her balcony. Is it the Beverly Hillcrest Hotel? I think that's what it is, the Beverly Hillcrest, right across there. And friends would often stay. Mindy, Christy's best friend, Mindy, would stay at this hotel. And we'd wake up in the morning, and Mindy would be in the balcony over here waving at us across a city block of space in Mom and Dad's place. And just over here behind to the left, over there, another mile down the road, was the Cedars-Sinai Hospital. One of the reasons Mom and Dad moved into Beverly Hills after living in Hawaii for 16 years was because Mom was having some problems and needed to be close to a hospital. You can see her hair is short here. This isn't long after her brain surgeries. They thought she was going to die. They thought she was dead. And she came back in true form, and her hair grew again over that, shaved scalp. It's not long after. You can see this is just, a month after, and here she is and we're all so happy to see that she's alive.
Yeah.
She says, "I am victorious.
Still alive, baby.
Still alive, baby." And in her living room there. And
fixing herself.
Fixing herself. My mom, as I said, she was a real, bon vivant. I think it was not long after she was out of the hospital. She was, we were going to the restaurants down there, and we were having bottles of wine for dinner. And it was like, Mom,
you just got,
out of the hospital. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. This is a friend of ours, made these here in New Mexico. These I can't remember what you call them.
Sacred Hearts.
Sacred Hearts, and it had written on it something about, on the backside, about Mom's victory in the hospital stay. The elevator room in their Oakhurst had this bluebird on the wall, and she'd walk in the elevator room, and as soon as she'd walk in the elevator room, she'd walk over to the bluebird so that it was on her shoulder, and she'd sing, "Mr. Bluebird on my," and this is how she would do it too, "Mr. Bluebird on my shoulder, it's a fact, it's actual, everything is satisfactual, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-day, my oh my, what a wonderful day, plenty of sunshine coming my way, zippity-doo-dah, zippity-yay." So that's, Mom. And I just wanted to take you through some of these beautiful pictures, of Mom and Dad and me and the dog and the bluebird in the room and everyone happy. And Christy and I loving her back from some of the most severe comas that anyone has ever been in. When she went through that brain surgery, she was in a coma for 10 days, and we didn't know she was going to come out of it. And then when she did, she didn't look like she could even understand who we were. She'd look at us with just blank eyes, and then
for how many days?
Days, probably 3 or 4, maybe 4 days, and then finally rubbing her feet and singing songs to her and kissing her, and all of a sudden she started responding.
Oh.
It was amazing. Amazing. Just amazing. She's an amazing woman. Christy, Sailor, and me. These pictures were drawn of us when we were in Mexico by a street artist.
When you were little.
When we were little. Mom and Dad took us down to Tijuana often to see the bullfights. They loved the bullfights, and we did too, actually. I know that people are up in arms about them, but there was something about them that was so noble and so strong and so courageous, and everything was, when you looked at it through those lenses of the whole culture, it was a beautiful thing. And anyway, just afterwards, somewhere we were in Tijuana walking through and getting curios, and Mom and Dad had these painted of us. Alexa. Mom loved Alexa, and Alexa loved Mom so much. Her creativity. And now we have this painting here, and we love Christy. We love her very much. And look at Mom loves me better. Anyway, all these pictures. I could go on and on and on. Just beautiful, beautiful pictures. There's the beach house at Southampton. Lots of love on the patio there, and lots of big smiles. Do you ever see Mom not smiling? Did you ever see it? Look at, even in the hospital. Can you imagine? Can you imagine just how glorious and wonderful that smile is?
Yeah, because most people would be like, "Get out of! I'm in the hospital."
Yeah, but not Mom. Oh, look at. There was someone down the hall and, playing the harp, and I went down and I heard them. This is, how we never knew if she was going to make it or not. Then, would you come play for my mom in the hospital?
Oh.
Merry Christmas.
Oh.
Christy. We love Christy. We're a handsome family.
Yes, you are. You are.
Dad was just tired. He wasn't sloshed. It looks like maybe he was, and he had just had something taken off of his nose. And those were great margaritas. And that's I can't get the restaurant right now. A stroll in Beverly Hills.
Oh.
That's Elliot. That's in the farm. There in Beverly Hills. It's just on Santa Monica Boulevard right there. Lovely restaurant. It was Elliot's favorite place. Mom and Dad, whenever we'd come visit with them, Mom and Dad always wanted to take us out to dinner to the farm because Elliot loved them. And when she would walk in the door, everyone in the farm, the customers and the employees and the manager would all come over and just fawn all over Elliot.
She was a doll. She still is a doll.
They loved her so much that the whole restaurant would just, almost stand up and give her a standing ovation for being so cute. It's true.
She still is.
Yeah.
Little fairy.
Anyway, I know I've been belaboring this whole beautiful time here.
Later, after we do Samadhi, there's a letter that your mom wrote in her book.
Okay, well, let's do a few Samadhi game mantras first. Samadhi game mantras are really a unique thing. They allow us to, transmute, because what transmutes and holds and allows us to have that kind of ongoingness, that constant, no matter what the problem is outwardly, there is always this infinite source of forgiveness and love within us. That's our true identity. It is who we are, really. And we just get caught up in this world of duality where we have to, exclude others or push them away or pull or deride them or call them names or whatever it is, because of that's how the dual world is. So there's a way of going back into the source that says unconditional love. So let's go ahead and give a few mantras that remind us of this unconditional love, that allow us to have the source of that eternal smile, that samadhi smile. That Mom, I put this picture on the cover of this book because she had her eyes closed, and although her eyes are glimmering jewels when she's open, she's smiling, and she has her eyes closed, just like any yogi or yogini, and her eyes are looking up, and she's smiling because she's in such a state of samadhi. And that's where we can all be. So as we give these mantras, hold that vision of that inner happiness and knowing, the feeling. And we're going to give this first mantra. It's called the Shadowless Light of Samadhi. It's feeling, tone, and state of knowing. Here, I'll put it on the screen. You can all read it with us along. As we read these things together, we're saying the words, and the words are reminding us. And as we say the words together, it creates a resonance throughout space and time. So no matter where you are, no matter what time it is, let's give these words together. Come on. O glorious shadowless light of eternity, that brilliance of I Am Samadhi, shining in the void as 10,000 suns, descend, 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 as the tangible substance of loving splendor, dazzling intelligence, and palpable power for all to absorb and identify with, as the full and only authority throughout the earth, the boundless treasure house of the universe, and our infinite I Am Samadhi, of scintillating fire and dazzling light, that I am. I release the power of mastery without limit now, revealing the self and flooding forth perfect miracles and all activities, bringing to pass the enlightenment of the ages, and letting every being on earth sense and surrender to the intimacy of this light. Everywhere, the fullness of this self expanding as love, wisdom, and joy forever. Now, great songs of praise and gratitude burst forth from the heart of humanity for that silent splendor poured out to all. Wait a second. This is Mom never waited for love or joy to be expressed. It was always the paramount thing. Now, pure love flows forth from the heart of the secret love star, drenching the earth with the glory and ecstasy of golden pink liquid light. Now, the oneness of supreme love, wisdom, and blazing joy
overwhelms this
whirl of duality in its glowing orb of transmutation, reconciliation, and dominion, making of terror a smiling sun of everlasting, all-powerful, limitless light, casting no shadow, and in which only that absolute perfection can forever dwell. Now, I am limitless gifts of all good things, anointing the earth with abundance, healing, and happiness for all mankind. I think this was the key to Mom's abundance. Mom lived a beautiful, abundant life. Mom and Dad had anything and everything that they wanted. You know, if they wanted to travel someplace, if they wanted to host Christy and myself at Hawaii, they did it. That was abundance, a lot of it. And the reason that they had it is because they accepted it on the inner planes. They accepted this limitless gifts of all good things, anointing the earth with abundance, healing, and happiness for all mankind. They didn't wait to have that in their possession without any accoutrement outwardly. They had it already. The accoutrements outwardly just follow when you have it that way. There were great examples of this. O presence of a shadowless light from out the great silence, we identify with thee now. I am the elation and exhilaration, freedom and liberation of this eternal experience and gnosis of samadhi, its ecstatic hearing, blissful feeling, cosmic scent, sublime taste, and immaculate vision, holding all safely within that compassionate diamond heart forever. Now, when we call this I am, and we call for this cosmic scent, this blissful feeling, this sublime taste, this immaculate vision, it's ours to bring those into focus in our lives. And that's what Mom did so strongly with that smile of hers. And you.
And you.
And you, Mom, mother to us all, mother to Dante, mother to Elliot, mother to Ian, mother, lovely, lovely mother. Whether it's actual or stepmother, that mothering comes forth. The compassionate diamond heart, now and forever. I intensify this feeling tone of I am shadowless light. We don't just rest on our laurels of how good it was just a last moment. Now we're even intensifying this sense of cosmic abundance. We're intensifying how much we are in gratitude and forgiveness and love for mother, for family, for brother, for sister, for all of our extended family and all of our clients and all of our business associates. In acknowledgement, acceptance, and awareness, surrender, devotion, and adoration for the state of knowing that this all-pervading I am Samadhi, the intelligence of the heart that is divine illumination. Now, in Samadhi game, we have to identify ourselves with a name. We have to call ourselves a name. Our moms and our fathers named us, and we've carried that name. That name carries the vibration of who we are. It carries our intentionality. It also carries our burdens. It carries the limitations that we have allowed for ourselves. And so what I like to do here is say a name for yourself that broadens the gift that you are to give gone in this life in some way, either figuratively, allegorically, or in some sort of a very real way. And I named my mom Samadhi Smile Mom. So I'm just going to say, I, Samadhi Smile Gregory, am awake, and am awake. And then you can say here, you pronounce this, you be creative with it, you create it, however it is. And since we're dealing with this name that I gave Mom, I'm also going to give it to myself. And if you can say it to yourself as well, Samadhi Smile Robbie, Samadhi Smile, whoever you are out there watching, just say Samadhi Smile. That's your real name. That's going to lift you up a little bit today. I, Samadhi Smile Gregory, am awake as is. And then we say these names because these are great names of great beings who have walked this planet. Now, you can say Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or whoever, or you can say the name of John Smith down the street who really inspired you at some time in your life and lifted you up because you wanted to walk in the footprints of that person's example. And so I say the ascended Master Jesus because we're just coming off of the Easter tide and the strength of that man's devotion through the vagaries of life and his willingness to speak the truth no matter how unpolitically correct it was at the time. He was actually strung up for it. So let's go on. As is the ascended Master Jesus, to this shadowless light, its feeling, tone, and state of knowing, that I am that never sleeps and enjoys all, now and forever. So why don't you read some of it?
Well, this is a book that your mom had sent you that she was in, of life lessons from the mothers of America's best and brightest, from the women who raised them.
Who wrote it?
Your mom. She wrote this lady.
And, but who put it together?
Her name is Stephanie Hirsch.
Isn't that funny? Huh, interesting. So Stephanie Hirsch, and this is what she wrote.
She wrote it about you and your sister, but it's a few. I would like it to be from you.
Okay, what would you like?
You
what
write
part,
it.
where should I read?
Well,
here's the chapter. It's a chapter in there, and you can see it's really quite a nice chapter. Marge Brinkley. It was mothers of famous people, I think, is how she decided to choose people. And she's also my mom. So here it is. Marge Brinkley, mother of supermodel, writer, photographer, actress, and celebrity mom Christy Brinkley, said that she taught Christy and that life is a celebration. I told her to explore life on your terms with humor and humility, and do not be afraid of failure. Internalize these wise words from her mother. Internalizing helped Christy become a Renaissance woman she is today. In addition to having been featured on more than 500 magazine covers, I'm sure that number is over 1,000 really, in both the United States and Europe, Christy broke records with her Sports Illustrated Christy Brinkley calendars, made guest appearances, and you all know the Christy Brinkley story. In describing her parenting style, Marge emphasized how much she trusted Christy. Even as a young adult, Marge made Cultivating Christy's Independence and Greg's. She was writing it specifically for, Christy, but she also cultivated my independence that would be crucial to Christy and Greg's achievements, a priority. When Christy was 18 years old, she wanted desperately to move to Paris. After much soul-searching, Don and I bit the bullet and gave our approval, an act of trust that scared us to death, but it worked out beautifully. Christy moved to Paris, where she lived, studied, and worked for 8 joyous, productive years. It was while working in Paris as a professional illustrator that Christy was discovered by a photographer. It's interesting because if I were to, give a situation where Mom and Dad were petrified, it was when I moved to Montana to study the spirit, to go within, to become a monk in many ways, to find God. They were petrified, but they thought you've got to let him do what he's going to do and learn what he's going to learn and put it all together the way he's going to put it together. And it was by that putting it all together that I came to this realization that now is encoded in the words of Samadhi Game. I spent many years in Montana studying at the feet of spiritual teachers and meditating and spending hour after hour in meditation, in fasting and prayer, and in sacred service. And those are the types of things that you would find monks doing. And most parents are, no, what are you doing? You're throwing your life away. But Mom and Dad just trusted to the process, and they were joyous as to see how it came out of the hopper of all of that, having developed a very integral practice of spirituality and materiality, which I call the Tantra of enlightenment. the bringing of heaven into earth. It is the goal. It is the duty of us all. And by doing that, you share your gift given gone.
Yeah.
That's my mom and dad held open that door and really, allowed for that to take place. Before being discovered, Christy grew up in Malibu, California with her parents. An older brother, Greg, there I am, a strong, close-knit family, was a critical component of Christy's upbringing. Marge said the family would gather for dinner every night around their cozy dining room table. Yeah, it was right. We had a table in the living room with the big glass windows and the deck and then the Pacific Ocean. And we'd gather there for dinner every night, laughing and swapping stories about our most recent adventures. And Christy and I had a habit of whenever our stories came up, we would jump up from our seats and live and describe the story as though we were actually living it in the moment with actions and activities. So if we were sailing, it would have been, and I leaned out over the side of the boat, and I held the sheets, and I steered the boat strongly in. It was, and everyone was like, it was like Christy, and Christy would be leaning out right next to me if we were sailing together, and describing it to her, and then Christy would excite, Mom and Dad would be on the edge of their seats listening. In addition to this nightly ritual, Marge said, when we least expected it, we would surprise the kids by whisking them away for a weekend in San Francisco or Mexico. I told you about those pictures that we had. Mom whisked us away to Mexico for those bullfights and those curio shops and the artist rendition of us in Mexico. We were always traveling as a loving family unit. Marge stressed that she let Christy develop at her own pace. And me too. Christy walked at 9 months, talked in complete sentences at 1 year. I walked at 8 months and talked in complete sentences at 11 months. So it's that wasn't in here, but I'm just a month earlier than Christy in both cases. When it came to reading, Marge prodded a little bit more. When our kids read every day at nap time and bedtime, we encouraged them to have a healthy respect for books. The other area where Marge pushed was when it came to physical activity. Today, thanks to my prodding and nagging, she is a Class A swimmer, and so am I. I did the lifeguard, the junior lifeguards programs. Mom would take me down to Zuma Beach and drop me off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'd do calisthenics and swim around buoys through intimidating surf on Zuma Beach. If anyone knows Zuma Beach, just north of Malibu, it's all part of Malibu. It's the northern reaches of Malibu up towards Point Magoo, and the waves there can be huge, and the riptides tremendous because of the way it's situated with the currents in the greater Santa Monica Bay area. Amazing. She trusted us to that as well. Thanks to this prodding, Christy became a Class A swimmer, an excellent skier, and a competitive level tennis player. Enthusiastic rock climber, and she's good at hopscotch too. And I remember playing hopscotch with Christy out on the sidewalks. But tennis, Mom and Dad bought us lessons for tennis. We had tennis pros teaching us how to serve that ball correctly and put the spin on it. Get that serve in. Yeah. Television was an area where Marge said she was the strictest. My husband was and is an award-winning writer-producer for TV, so the kids had a unique perspective on television. We were extremely selective regarding the shows that they were allowed to watch. But in terms of other forms of entertainment, such as music, Marge was much more liberal. Music was an important factor in the lives of our kids. We made a point to expose them to every genre, from jazz to folk and classical. Mom and Dad bought a great... Am I going on too much? Mom and Dad bought a great... Dad really loved it. He was really into having great sound. And he had always wanted to have really a wonderful stereo system. And in those days, the leader of the pack was KLH. If you remember KLH from England. The beautiful, beautiful stereo system with wood cabinetry and speakers that sounded like you were in a concert hall. And we put those speakers in the living room, in the turntable in the living room. And when I would come home from school at the end of the day, I would go in there and grab my Fresh Cream album, Eric Clapton, and we would put it on, and I'd turn up that volume to the maximum that those speakers would give and shake the house. And then Mom would come dancing in, going, I feel free. Da 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 da, I feel free. And she would come in and join, and we'd end up sitting there dancing. That's why she was more liberal with her music.
Yeah.
She liked it.
Well, when you came home from school, didn't you say, "Come join me for suntan"?
Oh, and she, quite often, yeah, she'd be home. I'd come home and I'd come in and say, "Hey," and I'd hear, "I'm out here in the back by the pool. Get your bathing suit on and come out here." So we'd get our bathing suit on and we'd swim and sit in the sunshine. My mom always had a glorious tan. That's why I like it too.
Did she ever have melanoma?
No problem of skin cancer in the least. And I think that's because, from the very early ages, we always ate well and tried to eat no preservatives. And I think my personal feeling is that skin cancer is brought to us largely by the impurities that our bodies are trying to process, and they come up, and the sun reacts with those impurities, and you get cancers. Instead of giving praise, Marge and her husband, Dad, always tried to do things to actively encourage Christy and Greg to develop their talents. We always felt that Christy had special gifts for painting, music, and languages. To encourage her pursuit of these talents, Marge said that they had Christy's artworks professionally framed and displayed throughout the homes, just like she had my poetry framed. Her talents motivated her to enroll in Lycée Français and sponsor all those trips to Europe. Today she's at home anywhere in the world and speaks 5 languages. Yeah, Christy is pretty good at that. I know that when we were traveling before, this is an interesting story, before Christy even had Lycée Français, we had Christy and I would go out to dinner, and on the way home from dinner, if we ate at a French restaurant, Christy would be going, "Oh, let's just talking about the French," and she would be. I can't do it the way she did it, and she would see if Dante's online. If he is,
he's not.
Okay. If she was, then she would be speaking French so beautifully that it sounded like French, but it wasn't French. It was actually pretend. So Mom decided that she would enroll her in a French-speaking school where she would actually learn French, and she learned it just like that. So Marge described Christy as someone who always dreams big and enjoys the process of turning dreams into reality. When she needed guidance, she knew she could depend on me to help her. It was hands-off and slightly out-of-the-box parenting style that contributed to Christy's enormous accomplishments. We're having a little connection problems now, so I don't know. Sometimes it does that here. We live in the mountains, and so we don't always have the best connection. I want to just thank you for joining me today with this broadcast, and for joining us and staying with us and enjoying and honoring Mother so much. And